Hello, everyone. My name is George Williams, and I'm the Director of Compliance and Equity Assurance here at the San Diego Housing Commission. So we welcome you and thank you for attending the Homekey Round 3 informational session. What we'll be covering today is the potential project review process. Now, at this time, the NOFA has not been released. However, we are encouraging you all to submit. Upon submittal, we will review and evaluate potential projects to determine if they will go to the next step. During this presentation, we will cover an overview of the Homekey Round 3 NOFA, timeline and application submission, Homekey resources, capital funds, project-based vouchers, supportive services, and also answer any questions that were submitted in writing. HCD's Homekey Round 3 NOFA may include approximately a to be determined dollar amount. In grant funding available to local public entities such as SDHC statewide. Homekey is an opportunity for state, regional, and local public entities to develop a broad range of housing types, including but not limited to hotels, motels, hostels, single-family homes and multifamily apartments, adult residential facilities, and manufactured housing, and to convert commercial properties and other existing buildings to permanent or interim housing for the target population. Homekey Round 3 builds on the success of the first and second rounds of Homekey as a statewide effort to sustain and rapidly expand housing for people experiencing homelessness who, as a result of their homelessness, are affected by or at increased risk for medical diseases or conditions due to the COVID-19 pandemic. San Diego Housing Commission's development selection criteria is for use as an evaluation tool to select projects for a joint application. This process will help to expeditiously prepare and submit a competitive application or applications to the Homekey Round 3 NOFA as soon as HCD releases the NOFA. Time is of the essence in submittals, and the timelines are intended to prioritize projects with the highest degree of readiness. As an example, projects that can demonstrate site control, enforceable funding commitments, and other markers of readiness per the respective scoring criteria. The criteria includes a checklist of required items for capital funds and for project-based vouchers and supportive services split into 2 evaluation phases. As we see here, all checklist items must be received in order for an application to be considered complete and undergo an evaluation for permanent supportive housing qualification. Phase 1, selection criteria for capital funds, project-based vouchers, and supportive services, including submission of all respective checklist items, is due by 2:00 p.m., July 5th, 2022. The Phase 2 selection criteria for capital funds, project-based vouchers, and supportive services, including submission of all respective checklist items, is due by 2:00 p.m., August 19th, 2022. All documents are to be submitted by the due date as depicted on this slide and the next slide via the Housing Commission's box application. And I am available for any technical assistance needed as it pertains to the box application. HCD online resources contain more information and can be located at the following websites as shown on this slide. Next slide, please.
Good morning. My name is Ren Spellman. I'm a senior project manager with the Housing Commission. In the next two slides, we'll provide a brief overview of the capital fund scoring criteria that you received in the developer packet as part of the development collaborative services process. Before we go over that, just a few general reminders to refer to the NOFA guidelines on the Homekey webpage for any questions you might have or for any guidance on formatting. And also please review the eligible projects, which George has briefly gone over. Those are in section 202 of the Homekey NOFA. So please review those before you submit your projects and make sure they conform with the Homekey guidelines. So the next slide, please. Thank you. So the phase 1 capital funds criteria, again, is due July 5th, 2022 by 2 p.m. And it includes the following categories, which are readiness, to include evidence of site control, enforceable funding commitments, project timeline and certification that you can meet the Homekey program deadlines, as well as a project profile form, which was included in your developer packet. Next, the applicant experience. Please be sure to include your schedule of real estate owned, as well as an applicant experience narrative and your good standing certificate from the Secretary of State of California that is dated within 30 days of the application. Again, please refer to the Homekey deadlines for those stale dates on your organizational documents, as well as any third-party reports. Next category will be the site selection and community impact. Those include some pretty standard third-party reports, as well as a project narrative. For the appraisal, please make sure that you follow the TCAC deadline or guidelines and include all of the items that are listed in the TCAC guidelines for your appraisal. And that category also includes a third-party physical needs assessment. However, if your project is not a rehab, please include a development plan. And the outline for that is included in the criteria packet as well. For the relocation narrative under this category, again, if your project is not a rehab, please submit a narrative describing the reason for why no relocation is needed. Under the financial feasibility category, just a couple comments for guidance. For the project pro forma, please make sure that you submit your pro forma in the Housing Commission format, which was included in your developer packet. And then please, in the financing narrative, include a description of any regional subsidies and how those were calculated in your pro forma. Additionally, if any other of your financing sources that you plan to use for this project don't match the requirements for Homekey, for example, maybe they have a higher operating reserve requirement or higher replacement reserves or debt service, anything like that, please include an explanation of why it differs from the Homekey requirements and provide backup for that. And then next, oh, I'm sorry, phase 2 capital funds are due, the criteria for that is due August 19th, 2022, again by 2 p.m. This includes your racial equity and community engagement, projects with occupied units, HCD application readiness, and project feasibility. Just a couple notes on those categories. For the projects with occupied units, of course, that counts only for rehabs. Again, if it's a new construction project, please include a short narrative that just explains why you don't need any relocation. For the rehabs with occupied units, please make sure that your relocation plan is from a third-party vendor. HCD application readiness. For the environmental clearances, please make sure that you have your environmental assessment ready to be submitted to the city for the NEPA clearance. And if you have already submitted your EA to the city to start that NEPA process, please provide us with an approval timeline so that we know kind of where we are in the process and how that will line up with the Homekey application. For the local jurisdiction and NEPA responsibility entity verification workbook, there's an Excel form included in your packet. Please make sure that you use that form for this. And then also under this category for your resolution, there are some samples included with your packet, so please refer to those. And again, for project feasibility and any other third-party reports in here, please refer again to the Homekey guidelines for guidance on the format and the stale dating of your third-party reports.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Callow, and I'm Housing Program Manager in the Rental Assistance Division. I will be going over the number of vouchers available through this Homekey Round 3 NOFA. We have 200 vouchers available. The type of vouchers available are the project-based vouchers. These are permanent supportive housing vouchers, so it's going to be for populations, for households, individuals experiencing homelessness. You must comply with Housing First model. Supportive services must be offered, although it's not required for the tenants to accept them, but it is a mandatory for the developer to provide supportive services. Because the population is homeless, you must comply with utilizing the coordinated entry system for matches for the referrals, and you also must comply with HMIS. You must enter all the information in HMIS. These are requirements for permanent supportive housing vouchers.
Good morning. My name is Megan Burt. I'm a Special Programs Manager with our Homeless Housing Innovations Division. On this slide, we'll provide an overview of the project-based voucher supportive services scoring criteria that you received in your packet. We encourage applicants to work with your identified supportive services provider to complete this section. Applicants will need to submit a memorandum of understanding or letter of commitment from the identified service provider outlining the terms of the agreement. The supportive services budget and sustainability plan should outline how the services will be financed on an annual basis and sustained for the term of the voucher allocation. Identified service providers must have 3 or more years of experience with the target population. Applicants should describe the types of projects or services the provider has previously delivered to the target population and the overall length of time working with the population. This could include providing other homeless services to the target population, such as street outreach or low barrier shelter programs. Applicants should describe the size of the projects and the number of clients served. Additionally, applicants will need to work with the service providers to provide previous program outcomes. Where possible, service providers should include the performance outcomes tracked in the homeless management information system. And finally, for each service that will be provided as a part of the project, applicants will need to describe the anticipated needs of the tenants, the service delivery method, the staffing structure, and their qualifications.
That concludes our presentation. We are available to answer any questions that were submitted in writing. We have received the following question. For Phase 1 Capital Funds criteria under Readiness 1.1H for amenity points confirmation, what is this referring to? Which point system? We will ask Ren to provide a response.
Sure. I believe in the developer packet, there was a list of amenities that we'd like to see. I know they don't completely match up with the Homekey amenity points, but for our vouchers, we need to have all the ones that are listed in the developer criteria, so please follow that list.
Thank you, Ren.
Mhm.
So at this time, it appears that we have no additional questions that were submitted in writing, but if there are any questions, please send those to me at georgew@sdhc.org. We thank you very much for attending, and that concludes this session.